Hey there, it's the TV Dudes back at you again, and I'm Randy.
I'm Grant.
I'm Greg.
And we are here to talk about Rubicon, which we've all been quite enjoying this season, this summer off season, I guess it is.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who don't know, Rubicon is an AMC show. It's on Sunday nights at 9 o'clock, 8 Central. And the basics are it's about a independent intelligence analysis office called API. They do sort of the same work as the CIA and the NSA, but they're independent. And it's about the head of the new department head of part of API, named Will Travers, played by James Badge Dale, who has found himself a bit of a conspiracy as well. And he's looking into this conspiracy while also doing all this intelligence work about this guy who may or may not be involved with terrorists. And so it's got all of that kind of stuff. It's very much, Patriot Games analysis and 3 Days of the Condor, all that kind of thing. And we're all digging it, I think.
Yeah, it's the way it's shot, the pacing. Some people have been complaining about the pacing a little bit. I love the pacing because I love the patience. And James Badge Dale he's doing so much with his face and his body movements of just being nervous and just being kind of off kilter all the time and with trying to trust people.
Yeah,
I would think that, paranoia is one of the easier things to play, but you guys saw our intro, and so...
So not if you're not actors.
Right.
Yes.
But, the thing is, paranoia is easy to play big, but it's hard to play
Yeah.
small, and he's really playing it small, and I think that's what's one of the things really interesting about it.
I am one of the people who is still a little bit hesitant about the pacing because... Yeah. It still is a bit slow. I'm still not into the side plot with Miranda Richardson.
That took a big jump in episode 6 though, where we started. It was episode 5 where she first finally met Will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, that was supposed to be a big shocking moment because she's been completely outside.
Mm-hmm. But it just really struck me that both her and Will. It's not so much that there is a conspiracy, so much as these are just really sad, lonely people who have nothing else to do.
But you know
so
what?
They're just obsessed.
But that's part of one of the episodes. I think it was episode 4 when they went down to DC.
Mm-hmm.
The head gentleman of it, and I'm.
Spangler.
Truxton.
Truxton. Not a name you hear a lot.
Yeah, Truxton Spangler. He says something.
Egon's dad.
When they're eating dinner.
Yeah.
Were you going to mention this?
Yeah, that was one of my... No, not I won't... Yeah. Not the dinner. No, the dinner scene one of the...
Oh, no, I know the one you're going to mention. But the dinner scene, they say... Truxton says, what they don't understand about intelligence is the loneliness of it. And that's the good part of it. And I think this whole show is about... the loneliness of what these people do and how it affects their lives.
Yeah, it's what it does to them. Yeah, that you lose all your other life.
And we're the rest of the audience who just doesn't understand.
But the thing is, it's 6 episodes in. We're halfway through the episode run.
Yeah,
it's a 12 episode run.
Right. Yeah, I'm just kidding because I do still really love the show and I'm really engaged in watching these different characters. Yeah. But I think. As you pointed out earlier, there is a dip in the ratings, which is starting to show itself. They
were the most watched original AMC show when they started. Now, of course, they were right after their premiere, the season finale of Breaking Bad, which is one of their biggest shows.
Yeah, and they have been riding the coattails of all these huge shows. They're just getting such critical acclaim.
Right. They opened right
Mad
before
Men.
Yeah.
But they're losing, and they opened about 2 million viewers, and right now they're about a little over 1 million. And that's the wrong direction for ratings to be going. Hopefully, AMC will give them a little more rope.
Yeah.
We were talking about how AMC really isn't it's not a big network. This is 4 shows they've got.
Yeah.
So hopefully they put a lot of money in developing, and they put a lot of money into the cast, the crew, the sets, everything. Hopefully that means that they'll give them their second season to show what they can do.
Well, they are doing a lot of advertising for it.
Oh yeah.
They are riding the Mad Men coattails. When you see you love Mad Men, well,
right.
If you like the style of this, turn your brain on with Rubicon.
Yeah.
And it's really, they're pushing it hard. I believe they will give it a second season because it's too damn good not to.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, there's still elements of the plot though that are interweaving, where I'm still getting confused. I'm hold up, how is that person in relation to this other guy, and how are they working together? But he's also helping out Will, and
yeah.
So I I need a Wikipedia.
One of the things that did happen is that one of the writers left after the first episode.
Yeah, so they had to sort of scramble.
So they had to scramble with that, and so there might because initially it was a little. I mean, I don't like Arliss. His character was a little bit more standoffish, and so like in this last episode, in episode 6, it kind of did surprise me that he's starting to try to help him without trying to get too involved in the conspiracy.
Right, and that was an interesting change. And you don't know if that was that a change from the original intent.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So there are those little tricky things that might affect, might keep people confused.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, great show.
Yes.
Whether or not it gets a second season, it's going to be a great first season.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd each talk about a favorite scene in the past few episodes. Maybe drawing anybody who hasn't tried it out yet to give it a look.
Well,
and
you go.
my favorite scene is actually in episode 4, which I thought was the best episode so far, when Truxton Spangler, the head of API, takes Will Travers to Washington to sort of go and talk to Congress and various committees about getting funding for API and why they need to be an independent intelligence agency and not, just have the NSA and the CIA do all that work. And there's this great speech he gives where he's basically talking to these people about his tie, about this guy's tie, and he's like, you picked out that tie this morning. Did your wife tell you she liked it? And he sort of he uses this metaphor of he's like, your wife will tell you that tie looks good on you because maybe she bought it, maybe she wants to make you feel good. He's like, but if I tell you that tie looks good, then that means that tie looks good because why would I care whether or not you like my opinion of the tie or not? And I thought that was a really interesting way to sort of make this point about what they could do as an independent intelligence. And it's also just a really interesting speech to watch. I'm butchering it. You should watch the original. But that seeing Spangler, who is one of the conspiracy guys. I mean, he is, if you're going to look at it from a pure bad guy, good guy's perspective, he'd be one of the bad guys. But there's some really interesting work that he does in sort of mentoring Will and sort of showing why he's good at running this agency. And I thought that was really interesting. What about you guys?
He does a great job at playing like a really eccentric, weird boss.
Yeah.
Greg?
Well, I liked the last season, and I want to make sure...
Last episode,
I should say. I want to make sure that I get the director's name right, because...
Nick Gomez.
Nick Gomez, in episode 6, the one Connect All the Dots, it's all the shots that he took, which... basically shows it's kind of like a quad, like when Arliss's character tells him tells Will. Wait, I want to make sure I get Arliss's name.
It's Cale Ingram.
When Cale tells Will, hey, your apartment's bugged, and Will has to kind of starts freaking out a little bit. He starts checking his fire alarm and stuff, and the shots of him just kind of freaking out a little bit is kind of quasi like The Conversation. If you've ever seen The Conversation, where Gene Hackman realizes his place is bugged and he goes and he destroys the whole place. I was kind of hoping he would do that, but just those shots, and they were shot at really great angles. Like Will's reaching up and it's shot down from looking from Will.
Right.
He's reaching up to grab, and he's like grabbing it really like slowly and gingerly, because he's like, he doesn't want to make any more noise because he just gets paranoid about the bugs. And the way Nick shot that whole episode, it really showed people's isolations. Like in the opening shot, when Maggie comes in, kind of looking at Will's desk, the door opens, like, and you can see her through the glass, and it's like squared off panes of her digging through the desk. And whenever Will's entering Cale's office, is always through like those weird little hallways, and it's always framed like alone, and everything's always dark and stuff. It's just, so that whole episode, Connect the Dots, I really enjoyed.
My favorite scene was also from the most recent episode, and it is when Will confronts the guy who's stalking him.
Yeah.
He pulls the gun on him, and he's like, do you know what I do? I can find any information on anyone, and now I have your picture. Explain that to your boss.
Yeah.
And it was like the fear on his face while he was holding the gun at this guy and like explaining to him, well, it just showed how freaked out he was about the situation. And it was just that hooked me. I was like, they need more dramatic moments.
And you know what's funny too, and I get off on this kind of stuff because James Badge Dale was also Lucky in the Pacific, and he was also Chase Edmonds, who in this third season of 24, and there he's so macho with the gun.
Yeah,
to see him acting like shaking the gun is amazing.
So that's a few of our favorite scenes and basically what we like about Rubicon. Basically, what I guess we'd say is it's good. You should watch it.
Please watch it.
Give it the support.
Please give us a second season. That's all we're asking.
Yes, give it a second season. And y'all go out there and watch it and get those ratings up.
That's right.
All right. Well, from the TV dudes.
Thanks.
Whatever we say when we put the beer.